Oh, yeah. How's everybody doing out there on this Wednesday night here at Exam Prep at Electrical Code Academy? And I'm excited. It's been 2 weeks since we've done exam prep. A lot of things to talk about, a lot of things excited going on. Again, thank everybody for joining the stream. Hopefully you're actively studying for your exam and preparing for your exam and doing everything you need to do to be successful. Shout out to everybody that's joining us. Again, I see 12 Mandingos. Thanks for joining me as well. Shout out to everybody in the Code Strong, Code family out there. So thank y'all all for joining us tonight as we kind of will dig into some exam prep and again dive into the FastTracks program and look at some questions and answer some of your questions if you have it. Won't be a long session tonight, I don't think. Shouldn't be too long. Do have some announcements that I want to talk about then when we get a few more people into the room. But some big announcements when it comes to Electrical Code Academy, when it comes to courses, things like that. So again, a lot of people watch these videos in the restream or the rebroadcast, and they share them all over the place. So again, I thank you for sharing it. Make sure you grab if you go watch the video, make sure you subscribe. Make sure you tell your friends, your coworkers, everybody. Again, also make sure you join me and Jay on Saturday nights where we talk about who knows what at any given time. And so we're going to be doing a lot more of those non-structured, but just kind of some conversations about industry things coming up as well. Want to give some shout outs. Gustavo, thanks for coming. Elwood, I see you in there. Thank you for coming. And of course, I got you Mandingos and all those that are out there who are watching, but you kind of sit in the background, kind of quiet. Don't be shy. Don't be shy. Speak up. Chat away. And again, I thank you all for coming. Quick shout out real quick. During this stream or during this series, if you want to donate, you can. And you can get in. You can get into for the drawing on these little screwdrivers. Actually pretty neat. I used it today. My glasses came loose and perfect for that. Also good for inside of little things. Anyway, you got those. You can donate for that as well. And of course, you've got the Electrical Code Academy flashlight, which is blinking or steady stream, and it's got magnets on the back. Anyway, your choice. We have changed that program a little bit about how we do it. So again, make sure you think about that. And again, don't forget to join me and Jay on Saturday evenings where we talk about just about anything. Okay, and so let's give a quick shout out again to those that are in the room. Let's see, Kevin, thanks for joining, Kevin. Hey, Jay's in the room, Code Strong. Thanks for joining, Jay. Keeps me up when we do some of our recordings after 8 p.m. when he knows that's my bedtime. So thanks for joining. So again, all of you that are in the background, speak up. I like it when people tell me where they're from, where they're representing. Okay, and giving a shout out. Check it out, Brian's in the room. There you go. See, that's what I call loyalty. The guys that get their license, they still come back because they have a passion to learn all things electrical. It just makes you better in your job. I mean, it's what it's all about. So that's awesome. So thanks for joining, Brian. Y'all probably saw, I'm going to get into this. We had some announcements that we have before we get into the exam prep. I got to give some announcements. First announcement that I will announce is, I guess there's a couple announcements. One of them is I'm almost done with the Code Strong sticker. Okay, so I hopefully will launch that and let you see that in the next week or two. Almost done with that. The next thing that I want to shout out about is you might have noticed online that we've launched a 30-day exam prep course. All right, so I might as well explain that. It is identical to the FastTracks course. The difference is the time frame. Now, what you might not have noticed, if you guys that are in the program are still working through the program, make sure you go to the website. And on the website, it better have your face on it. Dude, I can't even get you to send me a picture to put on our intro thing, much less their face on it. Anyway, so look, just like in the Electrician Lives, he gets me off topic. Okay. Anyway, so where the heck was I, Jay? Oh, you go over to the website, Master NEC. What you'll see on the front of it is that we've launched the program's plans. So let's say you have access to the FastTracks for a year, but you really need to get that license in 60 days, in 90 days, and you've heard me talk about it, right? Well, in order to be able to make sure that I really direct you, we're always trying to give away stuff. So over on the website, you'll notice that I have added a 60-day and a 90-day download plan. It is geared to focus on how you apply your 60-day or 90-day program, what you need to do in order to a certain number of days and how you approach it. So I've uploaded that. So that's on the website for you that are in the program. It's free download. It's available. But what you will notice is that I've added a 30-day course. Now, the only difference is a 30-day course is extremely intensive. So for those that need to get their license in 30 days, if you're already in the FastTracks program, you can almost do this yourself. You just don't get the tutoring benefit. And that brings me to what the 30-day course is about. So for those that have asked me, Paul, what do I do when I've only got 30 days to study? And usually I tell people I can't help you because I believe that it takes a little bit of time, at least 60 days to be successful. However, I do recognize that some people come to the course and they're like, look, I've been studying a little bit. I'm not totally green, but I need a little help in that last 30 days. Okay. So if you've never ventured into the FastTracks or watched any of our demos or anything, the 30-day program is a little different because it's going to be the same FastTracks course. However, it's going to be condensed into a dedicated form of study. It means you're going to have to study 5 nights a week for 4 hours each session, and you're going to have to follow the plan. Okay? It tells you exactly what to do from days 1 through 15, and then day 16 through day 30. Now, also part of that program, you're going to get 4 hours, okay, 2 separate 2-hour sessions with me personally, one-on-one. And that is not through this format. That's going to be through our conferencing software. And what we're doing is in that 30-day period, that first week and the second week, what we're noticing is where your weaknesses are. And so I'm spending a lot of personal time identifying a student's weakness so that I can gear you towards being able to strengthen those weaknesses. Nobody's ever done it like that. So it's a 30-day, it's very intense. So I do not recommend it for anybody unless they are willing to get intense. And again, it's a lot of personal time from me, but it's also some intense grading. Now, that's not what you get with the regular FastTrack. This is special only to the 30-day course because I've got to do something to compress this information into a specific period, okay? A specific period so that you can learn adequately. So that's what we call the 30-day program. So check that out over on the website. Again, masterthenec.com. Another thing I want you guys to get, over on the website, bottom left, I added a new free download, which is a calculations cheat sheet. So it covers a lot of the very popular formulas that you might have for an exam. Okay, so it's going to cover things like Ohm's law, Watt's law. It's even going to give you 2 versions of that. One using the V for voltage, and then the other using the E for voltage, because you never know how somebody likes to study or what they learned on. They might be familiar with V versus E, or whatever. So I'm giving you those ability to do that. So that is free. So you want to go download that. That's free over on masterthenec.com website. So make sure you jump over there. It's down on the bottom left, and it's a free download. Okay? All right. So the other thing I'm going to ask you guys to do is if you know any electricians are studying or are struggling to pass an exam, or are struggling at all and need a good course, I am hoping that you reach out and talk to somebody that has been in our FastTracks program, and you literally ask them. And I want you guys that are answering these questions in the program, just be totally honest, because again, this program is not designed to just give you the answers. You got to work for it, and you're only going to get out of it what you put into it. I didn't create a course or use a program platform to simply sit back and you just think that you're going to learn and you're going to pass. You got to put in the work. But what we're doing is at least giving you a structured way to study. And that's what our program does. Okay? All right. So anyway, so you got the free stuff on the website. Make sure you go check out masterthenec.com or electricalcodeacademy.com.net or .org. It doesn't matter. Make sure you check those out and get all the downloads you can. If you're in the FastTracks program and you want to say, well, how do I focus on the 60-day or 90-day plan that Paul talks about? Even though you have access to the course for a year, how do I focus on that 60 and 90-day plan? Don't worry. Go to the website and you'll see links on there now where you can download the plan and just follow the plan. You'll be successful. I promise you. Okay? There's a method to the madness, my friends. I promise you. Okay? Now, also, again, for all of you out there that do support us, we do thank you. You can see I'm a Tesla fan. It's Tesla right there. Hopefully y'all like the new background. And also, I want to mention, again, you do support us by going to electricianpride.com. You can get all of the popular logos, even Electricians Lives Matter, all of those on T-shirts, different kinds of T-shirts, cotton, blends, whatever. And again, you can also get stickers like these here in mugs. Jay is always sporting a mug during the Electrician Live, you know, his wizard mug. I think he thinks he's a wizard or something, you know what I'm saying? Anyway, so thank you all for that support that you give us. It allows us to continue to do the free stuff and create the forms. And also those calculation sheets that's over for download, that's the first one of multiples. I'm going to come out with many more to use as to be quick cheat sheets. Now, I did have one student reach out to me and ask me, what if he took that PDF and he printed it on a full page peel and stick label, and he were to take that label and put it on the inside cover of his code book? Would he have a problem? Well, I can't say that you would, but I'm not so sure that the test people will even know it's there. It's because it's going to be stuck to the code book. But you do that at your own risk. But he said he was going to do it, and he said when I went to take my exam, they literally just went like this through the book and shook it to make sure there was nothing in there. They never checked that I had anything in there. Okay, so I'm creating that for you. So got me all choked up. That's there. You can print that on the stickers and put it in your code book. And when we do the other formulas, you could do the same thing. So always thinking of ways to do it. Now, if somebody argues, you could say, wait a minute. If the state allows you to put labels or tabs in your code book, you could argue that that's a permanent tab because it's in there. It ain't coming out. But again, how are they ever going to know it's even in there if you put it right on the inside cover? Anyway, check it out. If you download it, print it out and print it on a full size 8x11 and a half, whatever label, and give it a shot. You do it at your own risk, though. Don't say Paul said you could do it. Always, again, check your test center. And if you're at a test center where they don't let you use your code book, then it's not going to matter to you. But it's still a good cheat sheet to keep, especially when you're studying and practicing so that you learn the formulas, things like that, okay? So, again, not a perfect world. Sometimes you can't use your code book. Sometimes, but every state that I've tested in, I use my own code book. And I also, in Texas, for example, I can write formulas and anything I want in my code book. So I would say they'd have absolutely no problem with those labels being put in there. Plus, they'd never know they were there. Okay? Even when they look at it, they won't know that that's not part of the code book because it's full page size. Anyway, not saying do it. I'm just saying there's a way for you to do it. And so we're going to come out with a series of those, and they're going to be other ones as well. We're going to have one. It's going to have a shortcut to all of the important tables in the code. We're going to have another one that's going to be a quick cheat type of cheat sheet. Cheap sheet? cheap, whatever. We're going to have a form for doing basic, calculations, sizing conductors. Put everything in it, because the next announcement that I have is, and it's not going to help you people today, but I have agreed to produce an exam prep guide in 2021. Now, this is going to be probably about a 100-page guide. It's going to be very much geared towards the FastTracks program, but there's going to be a chapter in it that's going to allow it for use outside of a FastTracks, just for exam prep, okay? So, again, it's not going to have anything to do with the FastTracks. It's, that type of thing. In fact, I might even give it to all the FastTrack students once it's published. But again, it's going to be available, but that's not until next year. So I wanted to give that announcement. We got that going on. So I am going to be producing that. It's not going to take the place of the FastTracks program. Trust me. No. It's just going to be a supplemental guide. I don't know that there's anything else exciting to let you know. That's it. That's the exciting stuff. Okay, enough of that. All right. So getting some shout outs. Hey, Todd Haynes, thanks for coming. Glad you made it. I see you made it. Thank you for coming. And I'd call y'all by your first names, but I don't know everybody's first name. So I'm going to call you by what I see. Look at Jay. What does Jay say? Well, he's got something always wanting to say. You know what? What is he talking about? Oh, Jay says at table 310.12, he's glad it's back in the book. You know what, Jay? Let me say this right now. You don't need no freaking table. It's 83% of the rating of the service or feeder overcurrent device. The conductor can't be less than 83% of the rating of it. You don't need no table. That's easy math, man. Easy math. Okay, enough of that. But you get your little table. The reason I say that is because that table in 310.12 is only useful if there's no adjustment or corrections. It's not more than 3 current carrying conductors, and the ambient temperature doesn't exceed that of the 30 degrees C, 86 degree Fahrenheit. If that's a perfect world, then you can use that table. Anywhere else, you can't use that table. Okay? It's got to be just for perfect world. Okay? So it's much easier for me to teach you how to use the 83% rather than to worry about the table. You know what I'm saying? Okay. You get me. You know what I'm saying. Well, you can use that table to size the remote distribution panel as long as that remote panel handles 100% of the load. If it doesn't handle 100% of the load, then you couldn't use 310.12 anyway, right? Got to meet the rules. Got to meet the rules. Rules. You know what I'm saying? All right. What else? Okay, so let's y'all want to get into some, anybody got any questions before we go? Last week, week before last, hopefully you folks that watch these, go back and watch that one in the beginning, because I talk about a lot of the things to think about when you prepare for an exam. And hopefully, if anybody's new tonight, you go back and watch some of those old videos. And I sure hope that you subscribe to the channel, okay? Because, again, I put out podcasts at no specific rhyme or reason. I just put them out there. And I share them all, not only on our podcast platforms, but I also share them on YouTube. So that's the easiest way to get a notification that a new podcast is out or a new video is out. But again, you don't have to listen to it on YouTube if you don't want. You can go listen on Spreaker or Spotify or whatever platform you want. It's just a good way to get notified that a new episode of something's come out. I guess a couple weeks ago, I came out with 3 episodes that are talking about calculations. So make sure you go listen to those, because I talk about sizing restaurants and things like that. So again, I schools, I do one on sizing schools and under Article 220. So make sure you always go check those out. Now, I'm a big fan of podcasts because videos take a lot of work. And sometimes I'm a guy who just likes to get stuff out there. So remember, I have literally hundreds of podcasts. hundreds of videos. You might have to go to YouTube and you might have to search through them because it only likes to show the latest stuff. They're on there. Trust me. And lastly, all of those out there that do support us over on the YouTube channel that actually join and get the 2020, you're going to notice that this weekend we actually launch another, we'll start the 215 episode, Article 215. So we're getting back into the 2020 NEC analysis. But again, that's only available for people that subscribe, okay? Because we're done with the 680 thing now, okay? So that's coming out next week, okay? So we'll make sure that we do that. Also, I have an extensive video series on transformers. Make sure you go watch the videos on transformers. It's 6 parts to the thing. Make sure you watch it if you want to learn transformers. Okay? All right. Okay. Moises, I'm sorry. Glad you're here. Mandingo's, what does he say? Always wants to ask some kind of weird question. Mandingo says, what is a secondary circuit? In regards to stumbling across the term in 250, circuits that don't seem to be grounded, is that the, in regards to transformer secondary? You have, when we say secondary circuits, we actually say secondary conductors, which under 240.21c is a secondary side of a transformer, has all of its rules for protection, overcurrent protection, and all that. But I'm not 100% sure. I'd have to go look, Mandingos. If you go look in your code book and kind of give me a code reference that we can look at, and I'll try to explain it. But generally, 250 is grounding and bonding. So secondary conductors, even when you're coming from, let's say, a secondary of a transformer in grounding and bonding, it wouldn't be an equipment grounding conductor. It'd be a supply side bonding jumper because it's going from the transformer all the way up to the actual first overcurrent device. And so it could be the fixed metal raceway like an EMT, then you don't need a conductor in there. But if it's not, not fixed metal, then you would have to put in a supply side bonding jumper, and that would run all the way up there and do that. And of course, the system bonding jumper can be either in the transformer or in the first disconnection means. So I'm not 100% sure about your question. You'd have to tailor it down. But when we talk about secondary circuits, a secondary of a transformer is secondary conductors from the transformer. So I'm not 100% sure what you might be talking about there, so dig a little deeper. Now, when it comes to circuits, you have grounded, you have ungrounded, you have circuits that are required to be grounded, and some that are permitted to be grounded, and some that specifically say they're not to be grounded at all. Okay? A good example of this, without getting too deep, is a doorbell transformer. So a doorbell transformer is an example of a circuit that you take a primary side to it with an equipment ground, but on the secondary side of it, those secondary circuit conductors, secondary of a transformer, which may be a 120 to 24 volt transformer, those would be secondary circuit conductors, and those of course would be not required to be grounded, if you will. So that might explain that to you as a 10,000 foot view type of question. But do a little research on that and get back to me with a little bit specific to your question, because that question could go everywhere, and I don't want to go everywhere for that type of thing. Any other questions? Brian says he got your God, Family, and Code mug. Did you like it, Brian? Was it what you expected? Hope so. Hope they did a good job on it. Remember, anything that you get from Electrician Pride, which is through our Teesprings, they have a great return policy. If you don't like it, then contact them. Okay, they do all the shipping and everything for us. Okay, so again, if they don't keep you satisfied, you let them know. I mean, you pay good money for the stuff through there. So again, let them know. And we're trying to work a way to get some of the prices down on some of the T-shirts. So I'll know a little bit more about that. The reason is we don't buy them in bulk. They're made to order So they always cost a little more. But we do appreciate you showing your pride, and those Tesla ones are cool. All right. So let's see. If I don't have any other questions, and again, Mandingos, I don't know if I answered that question, but the transformer was a good kind of an example of that. If we got time, we'll look into 250, but that's just a good example. And I think you're trying to deal with what's required, what's permitted to be grounded, what's required to be grounded, and what is not to be grounded, okay, when it comes to that type of scenario. All right. Yes, Jay says, Brian, make sure you post some pictures. Would love to see pictures of the mug. Believe it or not, I don't see a lot of, we create the designs, and I don't see a lot of them on. I don't have one of those. I've got my mugs, but I don't have one with that design on it. Okay. All right. Let's get into some code. Let's see here. Hopefully it hasn't gone anywhere. So let's kind of, okay. We're over in our code. And let's kind of go into, and y'all got y'all's code books. Hopefully you got some code books. And let's go down into the program. And this is, incidentally, this is the 2020 edition. You see the students are doing pretty good. Right now their class is maintaining about a 90% average. That's exactly what I expect to see from the students. And let's just go down here and let's do this one here. Okay, so incidentally, this is kind of what you would see in your exam program. Okay, so not really different than what you're going to see in your FastTracks program. And this is also good for those that are watching, and I think we have like 20-some people watching. Don't be shy. If you have questions about the program or anything like that, bring them up. Again, as you see, our sponsor, Electrician Pride. So again, appreciate. If y'all haven't seen the phone cases yet, Jay, I'm surprised you haven't got one. But I don't know. Do you have a cell phone? Anyway, here's my phone case. That is not a sticker, by the way. That is actually in the case. So that's my Note 9. So it's got Samsung Notes, and all of the iPhones have cases available in all the colors you can think of. Pink for you, Jay. You might, they do have one in pink for you. Okay, I know that's your favorite color. All right, so anyway, let's, oh no, wait a minute. Isn't it green or something? Oh, that's right. You're a Seattle fan or something up there. I don't even watch that stuff anymore. All right, so here's the questions on the screen. Hopefully you got your code books. And remember the rules. We're going to do what? We're going to answer A, B, C, or D. And again, try to give us the code reference so that we can look it up as well and see it. Now, we're doing this based on the 2020 NEC, but if you've got the 2017, go for it. Look it up and give us that reference. Just let me know if it's 2017 versus the 2020, because we're going to be looking at the 2020 today. Also, hey, Joel, thanks for coming. And Too Cool, thank you for coming as well. I gave a bunch of announcements at the beginning about stuff that we got going on. So again, I encourage anybody that's sitting through this episode tonight, make sure you go watch the beginning of this video again later after it's published, so that you can see the announcements and stuff I made at the beginning. You might be interested in some of those announcements. Okay. All right, so let's kind of look at it. So here's a question. Now, again, I teach people all the time to try to do what? Dissect the root of the actual question, okay? Now, I don't have the index online, but I've got my code book right here, as you should as well. So we will work through the index. If there's anything that we want to look through the index, we just won't do it online. So I will verbally talk you through it, and we will kind of look things up. So hopefully you've got your code book anyway. So, okay, so first thing that I would notice in this exam is, and again, this is one of our FastTracks course exams. It says, in regards to new outdoor installation of permanently installed swimming pools, luminaires installed above the pool or within 5 feet horizontally from the inside wall of the pool shall be installed at a height not less than blank, and we obviously know the answer is going to be in feet, above the maximum water level of the pool. So the first thing that I would do in this is, if you've been studying the code a little bit, and you've probably identified that this is swimming pools. So again, as I talk to people about the FastTracks program, about doing your flashcards and really getting used to the different articles, that we would know right off the bat that this would be Article 680. Hopefully that's what you came to that conclusion, that it was 680. Now, when it comes to Article 680, we're trying to deal with what? This question is specifically asking about what? So hopefully you've also watched my video on how to identify the target and root words. The roots in here, and again, y'all look these up in your index because I really like when you work the index. Luminaires is what we're talking about. Luminaires. So again, when we're talking about luminaires, we're now worrying about where can I install this luminaire at? So if it's within 5 feet horizontally of the pool, okay, at the outside wall of the pool, what is the height that it has to be up? It can't be less than a certain height above the maximum water level of the pool. So we got this little area. You got the pool here, and you can come out 5 feet horizontally, and you have to go up a certain number of feet, okay? And where am I going to look in the code book? Well, for me, it doesn't take long to realize that in the code book, there's certain areas that deal with luminaries, okay? And since I'm talking about permanently installed swimming pools, that tells me that it's going to have to be in what? Part 2. This is also a good plug. If you're not a member of the private group on the YouTube, you had access to, I can't remember, I think it was 8 parts where me and Vince Delacroix actually dissect every part of Article 680. We dissected every part of it, and that was available to you over in that, but it's only available if you're a member, you're a subscriber, okay? So as a subscriber, you get access to all that private content. So hopefully you check that out, okay? Now, I'm not getting any answers here from everybody. So again, I'm going to turn to the back of the code book, like you should too. Got my code book here. And I might go to the index. And let's just say I go to, well, what's the trigger target here? One of them is swimming pools. Okay. So let me go in my code book, like you should be doing as well. And I'll go to swimming pools and see what we got. So here's swimming pools, fountains, and similar installations. Now I go down and I'm looking for what? Luminaires. If you scroll down, you will see that there's actually a luminaire there. Now it says 680.22b, 680.23a3, 680.23f, and 680.24b, and of course 680.24d. Now here's the thing. On an exam, all I need to know is that it's go to .22, .23, and .24 of 680. And my answer is going to be around there. Okay? Hey, Ronald, thanks for joining us. Good to have you here. So what happens is that's how I use the index. Now remember, the index is not the Holy Grail. Okay? It is not. But when you're learning the code, it is really good to use the index to look up. So if you get my 90-day or 60-day downloadable plan, again, if you weren't here at the beginning of the show, I told you about a bunch of free stuff we now have over on Master the NEC. I have a plan for a 60-day and 90-day that you would follow. If you're doing it for a year, it doesn't matter. But if you want something to really focus your studies down, then get one of those plans. You just download it. They're free. And it will tell you how to study and use the FastTracks course. Okay, part 2 of my 4 pillars is how to use the course. And so it's worth looking at whether or not you're doing it the 60-day or 90-day anyway. It's worth downloading. It's free. Go download it. And it talks about how you should study. Okay, and the one thing that I point out is I want to get my money's worth. I want to literally dissect this question. So I looked under swimming pools. Okay. And that's where I find it. Now, the one thing that I might do, even though I see some answers up on the screen, the other thing I might do when I say dissect something, I'm like, okay, what if I had gone to luminaries in the index? Is it possible that I could have found something about swimming pools in luminaries? In other words, I'm looking at it from that direction. Now, me, I'm going to use swimming pools in the back, but I know to go to 680, and you should too. And since it is permanently installed swimming pools, you should know to go to part 2, okay? But if I didn't, what about if I looked under luminaries? Okay, so I'm going to look under luminaries. Again, we're not going to look on the screen. I do have the NEC geared up for us to look this one up, but I want you to use your own code book, and I'm going to go and look under luminaries and see by any chance it said anything about swimming pools. Just want to look. And you should do that as well, just to get you more familiar with moving through the NEC. And you know what? For all I know, it might not even be a luminaries. So here's luminaries, and I see it, and I'm looking down, and I want to see if it says anything about swimming pools. Because that's, again, part of what we're looking for. And I happen to see swimming pools. And what does it do? It also gives you 680.22, 680.23, 680.20. It gives you a bunch of information. Okay? The point is, it gets you where you need to be. And I would mark this down. If I was taking an exam, they give you a scratch piece of paper and they give you a dry erase board, right? What I would do is I would take my dry erase board and I would write all of the, you already know it's 680 at this point. I would write down all the sections that you want to look at, okay? And I wouldn't even go as far as going to 22B, blah, 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 blah. I would say, I see dot 22, I'd write dot 22. I see dot 23, I'd write dot 23. I see dot 26, I write dot 26. I see dot 33, I'd write dot 33. Not that I'm going to use them all. And I would write dot 43, dot 43. And again, I see there's a dot 51. I write dot 51, dot 62, and dot 72. Again, this is just on your scratch paper. And I'm always going to go to the first one or the earliest one. Okay? Now, again, I could have found this answer by going to luminaires or swimming pools. Okay, so let's go to the NEC. And let's get off of my timer here real quick. All right, so let's go to 680. And I'm going to go to the first one, which is the dot 22. Okay, so I'm right here. And we know that that's dealing with luminaries. Then we get it. Now, what did we say that was unique about this installation? Okay, what did we say about it? What did we say was unique in this installation? It was permanently installed pool, new outdoor installation. Okay, a couple other things to remember. You remember that it said 5 feet horizontally, and then the answers was 10 feet, 15 feet, 12 feet, or 8 feet. Those are also triggers, because once I get to where I'm going, I am going to be looking for those specific values. Okay. Also, when I teach people to highlight things in the code book, I teach them to highlight what's called the header, maybe the code reference, and then the specific topic of what your course material is asking about, like the 5 feet or the 15 feet or 20 feet or 13, whatever that's in there that is germane to the reason that I went looking for that up in the code. That's the part I highlight. I do not highlight the entire section. I don't do that at all. Okay. It's not what I do. Okay. All right. So let's look at what we've got on the screen. Okay. Now, new installation. Okay. New outdoor installation. So 680.22b1 says outdoor, and it says new. That was in our question, right? Very much in our question. So there I see the 5 feet staring at me right in the face, you know, in this new installation right here. So again, remember the triggers? There's 12. That's one of our answers. Okay. So again, all of the words look very familiar, but these are our triggers to answer this question. It was outdoors. It was new installation. We knew it was luminaires. I don't have to go to look at any of these other ones at this point. It's 5 and it's 12. So I'm going to go back to the course material, and I'm going to choose an answer of 12 feet, just like all of you chose. Very good. So let's see if we're right. I want to make sure we get it right here. So let me answer it. Correct. There you go. 6A.22B1. Now you notice that if you're in the 2020 program, it's also going to be giving you the answers in both 17 code and the 2020 code. Okay, so it's kind of going to give you both. All right. Yeah, I did very good there. So when you hear me refer in my podcasts or my videos to dissecting a question, I want to look for every possible word that way. Look, you pay good money for questions. Whether you buy the questions from somebody else or you get them in our program, spend the time dissecting them. Okay? All right. Y'all did very good. All right, let's go to the next one. All right. Now, let's look at this one. Okay. Again, answer it. And again, all you out there, don't be shy. I mean, we've got quite a few people on the actual stream. Don't be shy. Speak up. Chime in. Okay, you got any questions that you want to ask about the topic or what we're talking about? Bring them up. Okay, now, next one. The accessible portion of abandoned supply circuits and interconnecting cables located in an information technology equipment room shall be removed unless A, the conductors have a temperature rating of at least 90 degrees C, B, contained in a raceway, C, tagged and identified as abandoned, or D, identified as type CMP. Now, don't guess. We need to dissect it. That's what you're here for. You didn't come here for my amazing charm. You came here to really work through the code book and really look for the answers. Now, I'm going to examine this one. There's key things that stand out to me. Triggers. First of all, we already know right off the bat, this is information technology equipment room. It's a specific, now it's talking specifically about abandoned supply cables or circuits and interconnecting cables in an information technology equipment room, but we are very much geared to an information technology. Okay. Now, that is one trigger. Since I know that that is a specific location, I'm going to search in the index if you didn't know where to go, and you should know by the articles, and it's such a small one that you could probably jump there. But I want you to get used to, again, make those flashcards. And if you're in the FastTracks program, you can make them electronically, and that is make a flashcard. On one side, call it information technology equipment room. On the other side, put what article references that so that you can get used to it, so that you know what? You save yourself a lot of time going to the index because you know exactly where to go in the code book, okay? What article you need to be in. But let's assume we do not. So grab your code books and let's identify the triggers here. The triggers are going to be information technology equipment room and abandoned, okay? Abandoned supply circuits and interconnecting cables, okay? So those are two important things. Also, it says the accessible portion. Okay, all of those are going to play an important role. Okay, so you should know, again, we got some numbers coming up in here. Very good, very good. So let's go to our index and our trigger. We're going to look under information technology equipment room. We're at least going to look under information technology and see what we've got. So I'm going to go into my code book like you should. And the reason I'm not using the index is because the online version doesn't have an index, which is crazy. That makes no sense, does it? Anyway, that's, is what it is. All right, so let's kind of go. And, oh, by the way, the NFPA is also not putting out a PDF version of the 2020 NEC, which sucks too. So you either stuck with it, doing it like this. I would prefer to get the code book. Obviously, you got to use code book for your exam anyway, so make sure you always have code book. All right, so let me go into mine. And information technology and see what we've got here. All right, I'm at I, and let's see, I see, guess what? There is an information technology equipment room. That at least tells me what article I need to be in, okay? Look at y'all up there. Uh-oh, now I got two different answers up there. Come on, Ronald, give me two answers, Ronald. So clarify for me while we're working through this, why you would get two answers. Maybe you get the same answer for both, which is okay. That'd be fine. Sometimes you can find the answer in more than one location. So let's see here. First thing it tells me is that I want to at least be into Article 645. Okay? So information technology equipment. All right? Now, also under, so you got two of them. You got information technology equipment room, and then I also have information technology equipment, which is 645. Now, you'll notice that both reference 645. So if you studied, you know that that is your reference to okay, thank you, Ronald, for clarifying. You want to use 5G. Good. So in our case here, we would notice that it says specifically under information technology equipment, it says supply circuits and interconnecting cables 645.5. So on my little exam sheet, my little dry erase when I'm in the exam, I'm going to write .5. Of course, I know that it is 645. Another pen I got to throw away. All right, I'm going to write .5. Okay, and if you need to write 645 above it, that's fine. That's what your scratch paper is for, right? So again, there's what I'm looking at. Now, anything else that I could use here? Not really. I mean, this is probably one of the areas where you probably could search through it, and I encourage you to spend the time. But information technology is such a small article that I would prefer to use what we call bold scanning. But at least I have a point to go to 645.5. Now, if you're asking me what bold scanning is, you're new to this channel. Bold scanning is where you write all these numbers down, you get to a certain area, and you look at the headers, and you start scanning the bold headers of each one of the sections in order to find something that is relevant to the question itself, okay? And that's called bold scanning. And sometimes when the article is really small, that's your best method, to be honest with you. So in our case, we're going to 645. So let's go on over to the code, 645.5. So I am in the code, and I'm going to go back to the top, and I'm going to 645, and I'm going to .5 because that's where we got it. Okay. But I will notice something here. Interesting. Now I'm in 2020 code, all right? Notice something right away when I'm looking for abandoned. So I've got abandoned supply conductors. It says installed supply circuits that are not terminated at equipment and not identified for future use with a tag. So that's just giving me a definition of what an abandoned supply circuit or interconnecting cable is. You know, one that's abandoned. That's just good info, but that's not going to answer the question. So now I'm going to the 5, which because we said that's where we needed to be. And here's your supply circuits and interconnecting cables. All right. And then here we've got all the applications here. So we got supplying one or more. Yeah, that doesn't help us. That's not really answering the question. All right. So here we've got under raised floors, and you've got 645.5E1. You have a bunch of information that wait a minute. How come y'all aren't showing up on my screen? Hold on. Let me add y'all to the screen real quick. Hold on. I don't know why it didn't do that. There we go. I want to make sure it adds y'all to the screen. Hold on for a second, folks. Let me make sure that I authorize this. Bear with me. Not sure why it's not authorizing. I have no idea why it's not authorizing you folks. Bear with me. I don't know why it's not doing that. Okay, so y'all don't get to see this screen. I can't help it. It won't let me show you the screen, okay? At all. All right? So anyway, here we are, and what we're doing is we're going down and looking for bolds. Well, here's the 645.5G, and here's the abandoned supply circuits and interconnected cables, as everybody's putting in the comments, and it says the accessible portion of abandoned supply circuits and interconnecting cables shall be removed unless contained in a raceway. Aha. There There's the answer. So we're going to go back to the browser material, and I'm going to say kudos to all of you that gave us that G. Okay, so we want to answer the question. And let me make sure that I'm back on the question. I am back on the question. I got a lot of stuff going on in this thing. So, contained in a raceway. Answer is correct. 645.5G. And you notice it did not change from the 2017 code. So, very, very good. Y'all doing great. All right, let's do the next question. All right. Give this one a look-see. All right, y'all doing good. When a service disconnection means consists of 2 or 3 single pole switches or circuit breakers capable of individual operation installed in a common panel board enclosure and supplying multi-wire circuits, this method of installation is in violation of the NEC rules, permitted where the switches or circuit breakers are linked together using a galvanized nail. Hold on for a second. Now, C, permitted where the switches or circuit breakers are listed. Or D, in compliance with NEC rules when the switches or circuit breakers are equipped with identified handle ties. Where is this in the code? Okay, so A, B, C, or D. So what we're talking about is where a service disconnecting means consists of 2 or 3 single pole switches or circuit breakers capable of individual operation installed in a common panel board enclosure and supplying multi-wire circuits. This method of installation is what? Violation of the NEC? Permitted where the switches or circuit breakers are linked together using a galvanized nail? We can throw that one out, folks. C, permitted where the switches or circuit breakers are listed. Or D, in compliance with NEC rules where the switches or circuit breakers are equipped with identified handle ties. What's the answer? Now, give me a code reference, A, B, C, or D, and nobody better not say B, okay? Just saying. J, you better not say B, okay? All right, so give this one a look. Look it up. See what you have. Now, let me dissect it while y'all looking this up. Okay, so it says, now this one might be a little tricky. We'll see how this turns out. It says where a service disconnection means consists of 2 or 3 single pole switches or circuit breakers capable of individual operation installed in a common panel board enclosure and supplying multi-wire circuits. This method of installation is, now this is a weird question because it's talking about multi-wire circuits, yet it starts out by saying where the service disconnection mean consists of 2 or 3 single pole switches or circuit breakers. So I'm not sure I like the wording of this question, but let's see where it goes. Again, I don't write these questions, so we're going to see where the author goes with these. And here gets me, while y'all looking this up, this is also a great opportunity. I'm going to look it up too. This is a great opportunity to remind you that even a poorly worded question can be a nugget of gold because it forces you to dig deeper into the question and allows you to dissect it a little bit more, okay? A little bit more. Now, the trigger for me here is that it's talking about a service disconnection means. Again, it's saying installed in a common panel board enclosure that supplies multi-wire circuits. Who cares? Who cares what's in there? I'm sure it's going to supply regular branch circuits as well. But it seems to be asking about the service disconnection means. Okay? So, I see some answers on the board so far. Don't cheat. Don't look at it. Look it up yourself. But we're going to look it up. So, I'm using the index first. And so, I want to look under service disconnect, see if I see anything under service disconnection means. Again, I'm just like you. I'm going to look. You should be doing this too, by the way. And that way you know whether or not a specific if there is actually service disconnection means in the index, because in case you run into an exam question, and that you won't go wasting your time. So let's see if there's anything in here under service. I see service equipment. And let's see here. I see service, okay. Under service equipment, I'm blinding you all real quick. Under service equipment, we're in part 5 of 230, so I write that down. And I also notice that it says disconnection means under part 6 of 230. So I'm going to write down part 5, which is basically just service equipment, but I'm going to spend more favor towards part 6 because that specifically says disconnection means. Okay. Now I'm going to go down and look and see if there's anything else that could be beneficial to me. Obviously things like the 6 switch rule, because again, it's saying 2 or 3 single poles and things like that. I'm going to be partial to those. So I noticed that is in 230.71. So I'm going to write 71 down. Remember, I just want to write down that part. That might be partial. Let me see what else we got here. Sorry, my mic is blocking me. Okay. And the other thing that I might see is panel boards, which is, part 3 of 480. But since we're talking service disconnection means, I'm kind of more partial to that in the application. So let's grab our code books and we're going to go, and I will switch to the code book as well. I'm going to do it manually first because if I go to the code book, it's going to take you all away from the screen so you can't see the comments. So let's go look it up in your code book first. I'm going to look at part 6 because that is more specific for disconnection means. I'm going to look at part 6 of Article 230. And you should know that service disconnection means is Article 230. So I'm going to look at part 6 first of 230 and see what I've got. And while I'm doing that, I'll explain also a couple other things. People that are new to the stream, sometimes they'll say, well, you're taking longer than 2 minutes. If you're new to the stream, you don't understand how this works. We only worry about timing when we get down to the last 2 weeks or 3 weeks before our exam. Right now, we take all the time that we need in order to dissect a question. I'm not here to just give you the answers, okay? We're here to look it up and see how you would dissect a question so that if you're in an exam. Now, people in the FastTracks program, there's a lot of stuff they're going to get right away. And they don't need to go to the index. They don't need to spend that extra time, and that's great. But there's going to be those questions where you have to go look it up, okay? So in this case right here, I'm going to go to part 6, okay, which is the disconnection means, okay? And I'm going to look, and I'm going to hit the triggers. And let's see here. Looking over. As you should be doing too. You should be looking it up. So I look at my answers here, and the 2 to 6 disconnect means it basically is a little different than what's asked in the question. Okay? It says 2 to 6 disconnects shall be permitted for each service permitted by 230.2 or each set of service. A little different. Okay? So I've only got one answer on the screen. And I don't necessarily think that that's the answer that answers this question. So I would say too cool. I don't know. We'll have to see. Okay? We'll have to see whatever. Because I don't know that's where I would actually be. Okay? Interesting question. I'm looking it over. Oh, I'm sorry. You ready to go to code book? We'll go to the code book. Let me go to the code book. Okay, we're in the code book. Sorry about that. And let's go back up to that. Now, before I even go to 230, I will say what's interesting is I will go to 408. Okay. And if you go to 408, and I wrote down one of the aspects. Hold on here. I wrote one of the aspects down. Bear with me while I find where. Here. Sorry about that. Okay. Here we are in actual part 3 of 408. Gives you a lot of information here. It talks about panel backfed. It talks about delta breakers and all that good stuff. And it goes on panel board operation and everything like that. Number of overcurrent devices, everything that's rated for here. For the purpose of this section, a 2-pole circuit breaker or fuse shall be considered 2 overcurrent devices. A 3-pole circuit breaker shall be considered 3 overcurrent devices. That comes up a lot when people say, what do I consider a 2-pole breaker? It's 2 overcurrent devices, or a 3-pole breaker. Okay, it's 3 overcurrent devices. Okay, I get that question quite a bit when it comes to what is a 2, what is 3, and obviously a single one counts as 1. All right, so let's go back to the question real quick. Y'all hear my dog in the background? All right. Now, I have there have a couple people that have given the exact same answer. Okay, so they chose this for identified switches. What do you notice? 230.71b 1 through 4, 79. This is having to do a lot with the change that took place in the 2020. Okay. Now remember, the reason that I did this way was because this is very much applicable to these circuits, right? Very much applicable to these circuits. This rule, the reason that this is the answer, it's a violation, is because of the change that took place in 230.71b. So y'all were right in the location. But the reason we want to let this play out is because it's okay for a multi-wire branch circuit with an identified handle tie, but not for the service. Okay, so if we go back to the code, just so you can see what we're talking about, and let's get back to where we needed to be. And I'm not sure why I wanted to give you a lesson on 2-pole breakers, 3-pole breakers. I'm not sure, but anyway, probably because of the multi-wire branch circuit application. But what I want to show you is this is a good opportunity for you to see the change. See this all grayed out? Okay. You'll notice that it says the 2 to 6 disconnecting shall be permitted in each service permitted by 230.2 for each service entrance conductor set in 230.40. Well, you no longer have the 6 disconnect rule where you can have 6 in a panel board, have 6 separate breakers. That's no longer there anymore. That's been removed for the 2020 code. Okay? You can have either one main breaker, or you could have 6 separate panels with a main disconnect, but you no longer can have the 2 or 3 or 4 or even 5 or even 6 in the same panel enclosure. You can't have it anymore. Okay? So I was going to give a little extra time in that question. And again, making sure that the questions that came out, y'all were in the right code area, but not the right example. Okay? Because like I said, and I'm not sure why I went to try to give y'all an example of multi-wire circuits. That's just me going that way. But it was very much about service disconnection means. And this is a change that took place, okay, in the code. All right. Now, what I find is interesting is that it does give a reference to 2017, 230.70b 1 through 4, which I don't believe existed that way in the actual 2017. So again, sometimes you get some little anomalies in these codes, but this is a 2021, so it is very germane. But again, good question. But again, it's a violation to do so. Okay. Now, not for the multi-wire branch circuits. You're okay to use 2 poles or single pole or 2 single poles with an identified handle tie. Those are okay. This question wasn't about the multi-wire circuits. This was about the service disconnection means. So y'all were good at the right location, just chose the wrong answer. And of course, Marco, I'm not sure whether you chose A, B, C, or D anyway, because you didn't give an answer. But make sure you give the answer. And I will say to Too Cool, thank you for sticking it out there, because I was just going to let it float out there for a while to see if anybody kind of that type of thing. It doesn't have to use the word violation. It would be a violation of the code because the code requires you to have a main disconnect. You can't use a 6 disconnect rule anymore. So it's not going to say it's a violation. If you can't meet options 1 through 4, then it would be a violation. By its own right, it would be a violation. Okay? So again, we're not going to see the words. We're not always going to find the words you want in the code. It's a violation. Anytime you do something that's adverse to the NEC, it's a violation of the NEC. So nothing in 230.71b 1 through 4 would allow you to use 2 or 3 single poles or whatever to be able to have the 6 disconnect rule. That's no longer allowed in the code anymore. Okay? So you're not going to see the word violation. In fact, if you did a word search, you're not going to see the word violation anywhere in the National Electrical Code. When you do something adverse to the code, then that's a violation, especially if the inspector fails you, then it's a violation. Okay? But I'll let that one play on a little long, but you get the idea. That's also in my code change course. So again, the thing that we talk about for code changes, that's in there, in case y'all want to go listen to that podcast. All right. Good question, though. Good thought process. Let that sink in a little bit. Now, next one. Each patient bed location in a general care, which is now called a category 2, space in a hospital or similar healthcare facility shall be provided with a minimum of blank 125 volt single phase 15 or 20 amp listed hospital grade receptacles. Okay. What are the triggers here? Obviously, it's a healthcare facility. So if you're a savvy code person, then you know what article deals with healthcare facilities. Now, you might not know which section of that article deals with receptacles or whether or not it deals with the general care, but that's okay. Most of the time, 517 is pretty small, and you can go to 517. Oh, I gave you the article. You could go there and start doing the bold scanning, or if you've got the time, then you could go into the back of the book under healthcare facility. So grab your code book and go in the back of your code book and see if there's anything under healthcare facility. And there may or may not be. Okay, so let's see. There is healthcare facility. Now, this question is dealing with not only general care, but it's talking about what? Receptacles. Okay, so under healthcare facilities, I'm going to be looking down and seeing what I see that has to do with. Now, I see where it says critical care. I see that. I see where it says critical branch. I see all that. And I'm kind of looking down. And I want to go down to, keep looking, receptacles. Okay. Under receptacles, remember my little scratch paper? All right, Gustavo, give me a code reference. So notice that under receptacles, it's 517, so we know we're in 517. But notice it says 13, 16, 19, 31, and 42. Those are the code sections. I am literally going to write those down. Remember what I tell you about using the code in your scratch paper? When you go to the back of the index, make sure you spend one time back there. You don't want to keep flipping back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Okay? Back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Okay? So what you want to do is you want to go down and I want to write down dot 13, dot 16, dot 19, and dot 31, and dot 42. Now, I don't know which one of these are going to use. We're just going to go to the earliest one, and that's going to be on dot 13. Now, once I'm there, I want to make sure that I'm narrowing it down. Once I'm there, I want to make sure that I'm looking under what? General care, category 2. That's where I want to be, okay? So these code references might not be exactly on. Remember, the index is not the Holy Grail, but it will get me where I need to be so that I can start looking for the category that I need to be in. And this is a general care, category 2. So let's go to the NEC. And I'm going to go to, close this down. And I'm going to go to 517. All right, and now I'm going to go to the first one, which was dot 13, because that's the first one that I wrote down. So here's 13. That's kind of, oh, here's the other thing, real quick. Remember, we're trying to pass an exam. We're trying to take an exam. So remember a couple things. One of the things we got to remember is the answers are also beneficial because it gives a number. It gives a physical number. It might be written out or it might be giving you a number, but those are important when we're looking for the numbers, okay? So again, just some points to talk about. So, all right. So again, what we're looking for is general care, category 2, and the minimum number of receptacles for a category 2 that are hospital grade, okay? You with me? All right, so let's go look. So here I'm at 513, and I don't see anything that's talking about the number of receptacles, right? And I'm going to go down, and and I'm just kind of going down, and I'm bold scanning, okay? The next one was 516, or 0.16. So I'm here, I don't see anything. But as I'm bold scanning on my way down to 119, I notice category 2. That was part of what? That was part of our question, right? Okay. Now, I'm going down, and then I'm going to slow I like to tell people, slow your roll, because now you're bold scanning. Again, I just use these numbers to get me where I needed to be. So I'm down here, and I'm looking down, and what do I see? Receptacles. What do I see? Minimum number. Okay? Remember, I'm still under Cat 2. It says each patient bed location shall be provided with a minimum of 8 receptacles. Sounds like an answer to me, okay? Because if I go anywhere else, I'm going to be where? Category 1, critical. I don't want to be there. I'm right here. So let's go back to the code. And that wouldn't have taken us that long to get where we needed to be, all right? So in that question there, I will go answer the question. Do 8. And there you go. 517 and 18B1. So let me tell you, this is a good example of using the bold scanning and writing down areas in the code to at least start your journey. You notice it didn't say dot 18 in there. However, remember when I said taking the time to dissect? What if we looked under receptacles? Let's just look and see under receptacles. Maybe that's where you went. So let's go to receptacles. Remember, part of the secret to learning is to spend the time in it. Now, when I created the 30-day course that I talked about at the beginning, which is our new course, our 30-day FastTracks Program course, it's different than the ones that most of you are in because this one is designed for 30-day program. And it's intense, okay? It's not really at your own pace. You've got to commit 5 nights a week, 4 hours each night. Okay, anyway, it's for those that are struggling and they need to pass in 30 days. Okay, now, in this case, I would go look at this index and I'm going to look at receptacles. I want to dissect it. So let me go to R, see if there's anything under it. You never know. We want to look at all the possibilities and even to see if there's even anything under receptacles. Heck, I don't know. That's why we're going through the code book, so we can see. And let's see here. I don't see anything, unless I'm missing it. I could be missing it. My vision ain't nearly as good as it used to be. There we go. Receptacles, cord connectors, and attachment plugs. So I'm looking down, and I noticed that it says healthcare facility. What does it say? .13, .18, .19, .31, .34, .42, .61. It only takes a second to write those down. I'm going to go to .13, and I would have done the same process. Okay, so I could have gotten there from that direction as well. That's called dissecting a question. Look for all the possible ways that you could have found the answer. What's another way to do this? What about if I looked under category 2? Okay, let's look under category 2. Hopefully you see the benefit on why I do this and why I teach you to use and dissect a question. Nobody's ever talked about that. They just give you questions and you study them. But when I talk about dissecting it, nobody's ever done that. Of course, I'm sounding like Trump now. Nobody's ever done that. I'm the greatest. Nobody's ever done it. Which is true, though, by the way. Y'all know who I support. Anyway, no impressions tonight. All right, so I'm going to look under category and see if there's anything under category. I never know. Again, that's part of our journey, is to work through the code book. So I'm going to look under category and see if there's anything. It might be, it might not be, but I'm going to look. And I don't see anything under category. Okay. Okay, so that wouldn't have been one. General care is probably not. What about patient bed location? Okay, patient bed location, in case that's what you picked. So 8, let's look under that real quick. Y'all should be doing this too. This is how you get better. So patient care, look if there's anything under patient care. There's a patient care vicinity. There's patient care space. Here, check it out. Patient bed location. 517.18b, 517.19. Hey, that is at least 3 ways that could have got me where I needed to be in this question. That is the key to dissecting a question. Look, guys, you work hard for your money. This is why I've worked hard to keep the prices as affordable as I can. Not $1,200, not $1,000. And look, and I spend a lot of time with you guys. If you were to break it down and add all the courses that I give and all the time that I spend on these videos and all the free podcasts and things I do, I really want you to succeed. And the key to success is to slowly break the questions down. Slowly break it down, okay? And look at all the possible ways to get you. And also, use the techniques called scanning. Again, as long as it got me to .13, I could bold scan the headers for each section looking for triggers that are in the question. And that would have helped me. That's called bold scanning, by the way. And you're going to find that during an exam, that's going to be a beneficial tool to use. Bold scanning. Okay? All right. I love that question. There was so many ways to find the answer. I get so excited. All right. Next one. Okay, guys. Y'all are doing awesome. Y'all are doing awesome. Okay. Next question. When a size 8.3 AWG with a ground copper NNB cable is installed in an attic of a dwelling unit where the ambient temperature reaches 130 degrees Fahrenheit during the summer months, the conductors have an ampacity of what? This is good. Look, you're going to work this out. Remember, I know as well as I'm sitting here that probably nobody takes into consideration the cables that run through the attic of their house. Look, I can almost promise you that you don't even ever give that consideration, although you're supposed to. The problem is you really don't know what the temperature is in an attic, so you just have to assume that it's hot. But, you know, there is resources you can get, for example, that tells you what the ambient temperature on a rooftop is. But look, in the real world, let's just go with this. You know it's going to be hotter than the ambient, okay? And typically, it's going to be anywhere between 15 to 20 degrees, maybe 30 degrees hotter in that attic. But I can promise you, nobody takes this into consideration. Hey, but on an exam, you better take it into consideration. So remember, exams aren't real world. It's probably not what you're going to do because you have no idea what the ambient temperature could be in that attic. I'm just saying, real world. But on an exam, you got to be able to answer this question, okay? So I've got some answers coming in, okay? Okay, and so Too Cool's given his answer. Don't y'all look. Don't look. Don't look. Don't look. Don't look. And a couple things that I will remind you that NMB is rated 60 degrees, okay? But you can use the 90 for adjustment and corrections as long as you don't exceed the value of the 60-degree column, so you still have your terminal limitations, okay? You got to be aware of. All right, so all those goodies to be aware of. So the first thing that I would do in this question, and hopefully we get some more answers up there. Oh, the code reference, thank you, Too Cool. Appreciate it. First thing is, let's just kind of do this. Before an adjustment or correction, what is the ampacity of an 8.3 with ground? Just give me a number, guys. Just throw a number out there on there. And I'm going to go with you. So typically, let's go to 310.16. Let's go to the NEC. First off, remember we're in the 2020 code. So we're going to go to, but it's not really going to change. The code references might change some, but so let's go to, first things first. We're at Article 334, okay? So I want to go to 334 just to talk about something, let you see, okay? And ampacities. Now, ampacity of type NM or NMC shall be determined in accordance with 310.14. The ampacity shall not exceed 60 degrees C rated conductors. Okay? So, can't exceed the 60. The 90-degree rating shall be permitted to be used for ampacity adjustment and corrections calculations, provided that the final calculated ampacity does not exceed that of the 60 degrees C or 140 degree F rated conductor. Okay? You with me? All right, so that just kind of gives you the rule that says I can use a 90 for adjustment and corrections as long as I don't exceed the value that's given to me in the 60. So I tell people all the time, use the 60 degree, go choose your conductor based on the 60 degree. The only time I'm going to use the 90 is to apply adjustment and corrections to make sure that I still have a conductor that is capable of handling the load. But we're looking for a question, what is the ampacity of a conductor, okay, in this environment? Okay, so there's going to be an adjustment and correction that takes place. But I just want you to be aware of that because all this question is asking you is what is the new ampacity of a conductor, okay, after adjustment and corrections, obviously the ambient temperature. All right, just kind of wanted to clear that up real quick before we go. So now, what I want to do is go to 310.16, or if you're in the 2017 code, guys, 310.15b16. Okay, so here we are. Here's the ampacity. It's not more than 3 current conductors, and there isn't. It was an 8.3 with a ground, so it's not going to be more than 3 current conductors. Of course, the ambient temperature, you wonder, where is that in here anymore? You notice that's missing? That's because 310.16 has its own actual section now, you see? And this is where it says wiring installed in 30 degrees C, 86 degree Fahrenheit. And of course, in our case, it is not 86 degrees Fahrenheit. It's 140 degrees attic or 130 degree attic or whatever it was. We'll go back to the question. So we just wanted to see what is the ampacity of an 8. So under the 60 degree, which is what NMB is rated for, it's 40 amperes. So it has a value of And I want y'all to witness this. Here's another pin that's not working. I'm gonna let y'all know I've got thousands of pins, but the more they don't work, the more they go in the trash. All right, so this is 40 amps. So that's under the 60 degree, okay? Now, one thing that we did remember is that we're also gonna go back here, and this is actually 31015B1 for the 20 NEC. Now, this is interesting. The conductor's insulation on this NMB is actually rated for 90 degrees C. Okay? So in this case, if you look at the exam question, it said NM cable. Now here's where we're going to see where this answer goes, because between me and you, NM cable is not NMB cable, but I don't know what this author was going for. But I can trust you that on your exam, they're going to be very descriptive, because the committees get together to write those questions, so they're going to be very definitive. Okay, so we're just going to see where this goes. But NM cable typically should be 60-degree rated insulation. In order to be 90-degree insulation, it has to be NMB. So we're going to assume that it's 90 for this question, and they just didn't put the dash B on there. All right, so it's 90-degree rated insulation, and it's 130 degrees Fahrenheit in this attic, as if they know really what the temperature is going to be in that attic. Okay? We don't know. All right? So in this case, 130 degrees Fahrenheit, we come down to this column on the right. And we're going to be right here. And we're going to be in 0.76, it looks like. And we'll see if they're in the same mindset as we are. Okay? All right, so what is the ampacity now at 90 degree for this 8? 55. Okay? So it's 55. All right, now, where's your calculator? So we can use the 55, and we're going to assume that they think 90. We're going to see whether or not I'm right or not in this question. That's why I love working these questions. So it's 55 times 0.76. Okay. 55 times, what was it again? Work it with me, guys. It was 0.76 is 41.8. That is certainly exceeds the value that's under the 60 degree column. So again, we might be seeing how this question is working out, but I'm not sure the mindset of the educator. So we're gonna have to work this out. So let's go back real quick. Now, what I can promise you is this. On an exam like this, they will give you that 41.8. But let's remember something. The NMB is limited to what? 60 degree column. I can use the 90 for adjustment and corrections, but remember what it said, as long as I don't exceed the value of the 60 degree column. Now, the conductor, even after adjustment and correction, theoretically could handle 41.8 amps, but remember what it says, you can't exceed the value of the 60 degree column. So, would your answer, and remember what the 60 degree column was? It was 40 amps. So I'm going to give y'all one last shot at this. What do you think it is? Erase the board. 41.8? Or 40? Or 33.5? What are your answers? Come at me. And if you've already answered, answer again. Anybody out there that's shy, speak up. Answer. You can't hurt anything. I'm not gonna kick you out of the room or nothing. Again, we're trying to look at, now, this is the beauty of a question, because we're trying to get in the mind of the person that wrote the question. For me, I would have been a stickler. Why? Because I would have said you put NM on there, it's not NMB, so I wouldn't let you use the 90. I don't think that this educator is doing that, okay? But we'll see. I'm excited. I want to see. I can't wait. I get so excited. All right. Look, I've been doing this for 30-some years. I'm in my 50s. I still get excited about code. I actually get excited about actually going out and doing wiring still after all these years. I can't help it. I love this profession. I could not imagine being a plumber, no disrespect. I could not imagine being an HVAC guy, no disrespect. but I love electrical. Oh my God. I love it. All right. So what do you think? So I've got a 40. I've still got a 41.8. You know what? Let's do this. In honor of, hey, I'm going to put Jay, see if he's still on here. I'm going to put Jay on the spot. Hey, Jay. Oh, look, Gustavo says A. He says 16.4 amps. Look, which one do you think it is, Jay? I'm putting Jay on the spot. This is actually a pretty good question. And I'm interested to see where this author is going. Okay. All right, I've got a number of people that give the 40. Remember why I went to the code and read you the part about NMB first, or non-metallic cable first? Remember that? It's for a reason. Okay. So let's go on and I've got a couple answers here. So let's go on and answer the question. So I'm going to choose 40, and that's correct. Now, this is a lot of chain of thoughts here. But you see right here, 8 AWG, rated 90 degrees C. I wish they had to put the dash B, but it's okay. I guess that's where they're getting it. It's 55 amps times 0.76. Because of that insulation rated 90, it was 41.8. But remember what the rules said? 60-degree column, table 31016 shows the ampacity of an 8 as 40 amperes. Remember what it said in 334.80? You could use a 90 for adjustment and correction as long as the value didn't exceed that of the 60-degree column. So that conductor could have been worth 50 amps after adjustment and correction. It doesn't mean you can put 50 amps on it. You still can't violate the terminal limitation or the rules in the code that say what the insulation value is and what column you can use. So I make this simple for people. First thing you're always going to do is choose the right conductor to handle the load. If the terminals are 75-degree rated terminals, choose the value under 75. Then you can apply the value at the 90-degree for adjustment and corrections just to make sure you still have a conductor that still is adequate to handle the load. Okay, and if it's higher than what's in the 75-degree column or in the 60-degree column, it's okay. That means it's still adequate to handle the load, but you can't load it up more than the value that's under the original column you chose, like the 75 or the 60. Okay, easy way to remember it. Really, it is. Great question, and I tried to give you as many hints as I could. I don't want you to get that one wrong on an exam. Okay, this doesn't have to just apply to NM cable. This is a good rule when you're applying anything when it comes to adjustment and corrections based on the terminal limitations in 110.14c, whether it's 100 amps or less using the 60 degree, over 100 amps using the 75, or if it's under 100 amps, but the conductors are rated 75 and the terminals are rated 75, then I get to use the values under the 75. Okay? Great. If you haven't watched my course on derating demystified, go watch it. It really covers all this information. That's a good question. And I'm glad y'all hung in there for that one, because that really was, if you get this right and you start honing this down, you're going to get it. You're not going to have any problem, because there's a lot of questions on exams like this. Okay. And it might not be about NMB. It might be just about individual conductors and that type of thing. Okay. Great question. Glad we worked that one out. All right, next question. All right. Y'all are doing good tonight. Hanging in there. Now, some of you did get that last one wrong. It's a little tough for you. That's why we're here. That's why we're here. Those little nuggets. Those little nuggets that matter. Okay. Let's look at this question. This will be maybe the last question for the night or two, unless somebody has any questions. All right, notice it says given. It says an equipment disconnection means is mounted at a height of 6 feet above the floor level of a remote wall, on a remote wall, in an aircraft storage and maintenance hangar. The disconnect switch is 10 feet horizontally from the aircraft fuel tank. So it's the disconnect itself is 10 feet horizontally from the aircraft fuel tank. The disconnect switch is located in a blank area. Is it Class 1 Division 2? Is it unclassified? Is it Class 2 Division 1? Or is it a Class 1 Division 1? You have an A, B, C, or D. Okay, first things first. You know that in the code, we have a specific code article that deals with aircraft hangars. Okay? So we already should be ahead of the curve. But let's assume you did not. So we're going to go to the back of the code book, and we're going to look under aircraft hangar. All right, so I'm going to go look in the back. Assume you didn't know. But if you do use flashcards, you will know. But let's go to the back and see what we've got to look under aircraft hangar. If you already know the article, this is probably one where you could use your bold scanning technique and be able to find the answer. But we're going to kind of use the NEC index. So go to the back and look under aircraft hangar. You'll notice that there's a reference for aircraft hangars. And it gives you a code article, which you probably already knew that it was 513. But if you didn't, there you go. And then now you're going to notice it says classification of locations in 513.3. So I'm going to write .3 down. Okay. And then I'm going to look down again because I want to see if there's anything else in here that might be germane. Now, there's one thing I'll notice, and you'll notice this too when you're doing this in the code, is I'm looking under aircraft hangar, and there's not a lot of code references sections. I think the furthest one I see here is there's a .10. There's not a lot of stuff. So this is a prime candidate for bold scanning. However, since it's asking about the disconnection means and it's asking about classifications, we want to remember something. We're looking at disconnect switch, and we're looking about its mounting and in its relevance to a aircraft storage and maintenance hangar, okay? Those are all important things that we want to dissect in this question. But it's a small article, so I am going to jump to 513. Now, I'm probably going to jump to 513.3 simply because I know that if by looking at it, that one takes me directly to the classifications. And at least I know that's at the beginning anyway of 513, so it's probably what I'm going to do. All right? So let's go to the NEC. And I'm going to go. Hopefully y'all are looking it up too. 513, and here's .3. Okay, so this is talking about classifications and locations. Okay? Now, when I move down it now, since I didn't really answer any of the questions, okay, because it's just telling me that it would be a class, okay? But I need more details, okay? So I want to move down the list here and see where I might find it. All right, so let's see here. I've got vicinity of aircraft, and I've got what's called aircraft maintenance and storage hangars. It says the area within 5 feet horizontal from the aircraft power plants or equipment fuel tanks shall be classified as a Class 1 Division 2 or Zone 2 location that shall extend upward from the floor to a level of 5 feet above the upper surface of the wings of the engine. Okay, well, I am not 100% sure that it answers my question. Okay, so I want to go back and look at the question. Okay, so I'm going to go back and look. So the question is asking me about the disconnection means, and it's located on a remote wall, and it's talking about disconnect switch, but it's asking about an aircraft fuel tanks. Fuel tanks and the disconnect switch. I've got to go back because that's not what we saw. And I think I saw WWE in there. I think I saw you in there joining us. Hopefully thanks for joining us. Okay. All right. So aircraft storage. I don't see here. It's fuel tanks. And let's just real quick give a quick look, and we'll go back again But I want to give a quick look before I go back to where I think I want to be. Okay. Let's go back now. All right, so let's focus on this a little bit. So this is aircraft fuel tanks. Our question didn't really talk about fuel tanks, right? I mean, I don't think the question says, it did say something about the disconnection means is 10 foot from the fuel tank, okay? So again, I am got something in the question about fuel tanks. So again, that does bring that up. So let's kind of look and see here. Let's see here. The area, 5 feet horizontally from the power plant or the fuel tanks, okay, I guess that makes sense, shall be a Class 1 Division 2 location, and this shall extend upward from the floor to a level of 5 feet above the upper surface of the wings and the engine enclosure. Okay. Back to the question. So that space is 5 feet. So it looks to me like that disconnection is further than 5 feet away. Looks like it's more than 5 feet away from me. So I think it's unclassified. What do y'all think? Let's see here. Hey, I did see you, WWE. Thanks for joining. So let's let me go here. I'm going to choose unclassified. Why am I right? Because it is outside of the horizontal 5 foot limitation. Okay? That could be a tricky question because it really doesn't matter about the disconnection means. We're trying to find what space defines the area around this aircraft fuel tank. And because we're outside of that 5 feet, it really doesn't matter, right? Because it's already outside of the 5 feet. So it is unclassified area, okay? That's important because that's going to be the difference of whether or not I need seal-offs or not or all this other stuff that's expensive. If it's in an unclassified area, then it means it's just like a normal area. It's not classified. Now, if any raceways go from a classified area to an unclassified area, then you are going to have your seal-offs within 10 feet of the point of entrance or exit of the actual location that is classified. That's for a whole nother class. But at least it's unclassified, so I don't have to do anything special with the enclosure. I don't need an explosion-proof enclosure or anything. It's unclassified. Okay? Anyway, good question. So, great one. I don't know. I want to end on that one. Let's do one more. I don't like hazardous location aircraft hangar questions to end on. I don't know about you, but I don't. So let's end on this one. There we go. Let's end on a good one. And sorry about that, guys. I want all of your participation in this. Ready? Let's end on a positive note. In regards to emergency and legally required standby systems, transfer switches shall be blank and approved by the authority having jurisdiction. Red in color, non-automatic, manual, or automatic. What do you think? Okay? What do you think? Hey, Marco. Hang in there, Marco. We got one more to go. Don't jump off yet. Answer this question for me. Where is the answer, and where would you look it up? Now, couple target triggers here. Couple triggers. We're talking about transfer switches. We're talking about emergency and legally required, which are going to be drastically different than an optional standby. Okay? Optional. Give me the code reference, WWE. Where do we find it? Or Daniel. Is that your name, Daniel? I see you added that in there. People sometimes say, why do you call me that? Because I don't know your name, but there you go. Like, too cool. What's your name? All right, so Gustavo. There you go. So, interesting enough, in emergency or legally required is different than the optional. Okay? So, one thing that I might do is I might go into the back of the index and I might look under emergency. If you didn't know the answer. I think y'all might know the answer to this one, but if you didn't, I want you to study. So we're going to go back and look in the back of the book. And I'm going to look under emergency. and see what I've got. If there's anything under emergency systems, Article 700, okay, talks about all of them in emergency systems. And it talks about transfer equipment, 700.5. Now, we're in 700. Now, I noticed Gustavo gave a certain reference, but for emergency, you'd be under 700. For legally required, you'd be under 701. And, of course, optional is 702. This isn't an optional question, but, again, ways to find it. So I'm going to go to 700.5 instead of Gustavo's answer, just for purpose, so we can see that you could find this answer two ways. All right, so let's go to the NEC, and we'll give that one a look, Gustavo. So I'm in the NEC, and I will go to 700 for emergency systems, and you'll see 700.5 is what we had to reference in the back of the book, and this is our transfer equipment. Okay. And here it says transfer equipment shall be automatic. There you go. So there's your reference to automatic. Now, just to go up and say, if you were to look under it exactly in the application that Gustavo gave, legally required, then you would see that as well, and you get into this application. Okay. So in this case here, transfer switch, right here, says transfer switch shall be automatic. There you go. Now, what is different about a transfer switch versus for the legally required and the emergency is that typically the same automatic transfer switch for legally required also has to be marked for emergency systems as well. Okay? And it usually will be. Whereas the optional method in 702, that's a manual. Now, can it be automatic? Sure, if you want. But it's allowed to be manual. Okay? Whereas the legally required or the emergency system has to be automatic transfer. Okay? And then, of course, you've got all these other requirements of the load that's got to be transferred. Okay? All that kind of good stuff. Great information. A good question to end on. Okay, so I'll come back to me. I certainly hope that y'all guys got something out of it tonight. It was a good exam prep, just to kind of give you some questions to look up. A couple things I want you to end on. All right, and again, I want to thank everybody that's donated to the stream. If you felt you got something out of it, again, you can use a little dollar symbol there and make a donation. We appreciate it. If you want to get the flashlight or the screwdriver, go over to Master the NEC. You can donate from there and get those. Just make sure you send us your address. Everything's appreciated. And it allows me to continue to bring these free programs because, again, my time is not free, but that's how we subsidize it. Okay, I got to make a living too, right? But I enjoy subsidizing it. I enjoy trying to do it. Remember, study each question and really just beat that question to death. All right? Now, if you're studying for an exam and you want to do it in 60 days or 90 days, again, go over to our website, and what you'll see is on the website, I have the 30-day, I have a 60-day, and I have a 90-day plan. These 60 and 90-day programs are free to download those guides. They work with the FastTrack program. But we do have a new 30-day course, which is unique because it has one-on-one tutoring. And I analyze your grades and I find your weaknesses, and it takes a lot more time. And so that's a special program. So that's a separate program. But if you're in the FastTracks program, you're free to use the 60 and 90-day study plan. It's available. Also, over on our website, we have a new cheat sheet of calculations. Make sure you go download it. And if you listen to the beginning of this, if you came in late, I give you maybe a tip in how to print it off, and you print it on some labels, and you might be able to stick it in the front of your code book, and I bet they wouldn't even know it's there. But don't say I told you it was okay, but I'm sure they wouldn't even know it's in there. How do they know? They wouldn't even begin to know that it's stuck there because it's the full size of the page. Anyway, and it's a label, And it's not written in pen. I'm just saying, check your local testing agency. Might do it. All right. Anyway, there's a bunch of stuff. If you didn't watch the beginning of this and you came in late after the first 15 minutes, go back and watch the beginning once this gets loaded up on the YouTube channel, because I think you'll see some of the new stuff we got coming up and excited about it. So, I appreciate you all, and thank you for joining me and taking the time to be in here. And really, hopefully you do get something out of it. If you want any of your T-shirts or mugs or phone cases or stickers, boy, I'm a sellout, aren't I? If you want any of that stuff that helps, also let us know how you like the new background with Tesla. Be sure to visit Electrician Pride and again, T-shirts and whatnot. If you're a member of our YouTube channel, you also get discounts on everything that's in there. Okay, you get discounts. Hey, I see you. Hey, M, thanks for joining. Tommy, I see you in there. So again, you have any questions, reach out to me. Make sure y'all also download the app for your phone, because the app for your phone is cool because it's easier to get in touch with me through the app. It's pretty neat. All right, folks, till next time, stay safe. Hope you got something out of it. I appreciate you all.